All right, other tools is the next thing on our list. Perspective crop tool, freeform pen tool, color replacement tool, mixer brush, and pen tool. These are really sort of secondary kind of tools. And let's see, that still leaves us with art history brush, background eraser tool, magic eraser. Boy, some of these are pretty minor tools, but I would like to do a video here on these that are listed here for other tools from the toolbar. It says here to do 2 or 3 files. You can combine these, and I would like for you to try to do the before and after like we've done before. Let me start with the perspective crop tool, and for this, let's see, it'll actually work on this one, or it'll work on the gateway arch. It works pretty well on that, and it also works on that one that we've used already, Graph Expo image. We've used it several times, but it works okay on that too. My favorite, I think, is this one, and so I'll start with this one. The perspective grid, or perspective crop tool. Now, we've done so many things with cropping and with perspective already. It's the second one on the list under the crop tool. You press and hold, you can get to it that way. And I'm just going to default my colors because I probably should. And what you do is you just drag across it. Okay, let me do that awfully fast. Just click and drag across. And then what you do is you try to match this grid with one of the lines in the drawing or in the photograph. So I'm just going to bring this over now. Be careful. Hold your Shift key down, and it'll stay level with the top of the frame. See that? Okay. And if I just OK that, you'll see that what it has done is pulled this line straight. Okay, now I'm just going to continue and do one more here. Let's bring this corner up so it's so the grid's kind of parallel with that one. Let's see what that does. Again, if you'll hold your Shift key down so you don't get inside here, and that looks pretty good. Then just double click or use a commit, and you can see what I've done with that in 2 moves from that to that. Well, let's see here. From that, step backward, Option Command Z. Okay, so it's not going to let me do both of them. Okay, but I added this one on there as well. Okay, all right. Now, if you try to do 2 layers with this, it changes both layers, so you can't do both layers with this. All right, so I guess as far as finishing this up, you'd want to rename this. Okay, so save as on this, because you don't want to do a save because it's only a single layer. Save as. Change it to Photoshop. That's a good idea for it. And then save it over in your folder. Give it a different name, maybe perspective crop. Okay. I'll just save that there. Okay, now once it's got a new name, which you can see it's got the new name up here, perspective crop, then you can go to File and open Recent and bring in the gateway arch picture. Just select all, copy, and then close, and then paste. And you can paste that right in there so that you've got the 2. Okay, finishing it up, use a regular crop tool. Look, they all have the same shortcut here. Now, we won't be looking at the slice tool. Those are internet website type tools that you'll learn in another class. But I'm going to just add this right here like this. Let's see. we'll probably want to unlock this layer just so it gives us a little easier way of doing this. Okay. Now it's the layer below that you're wanting to move. So if you'll click on the layer below and turn off your auto select, you should be able to just slide it out. Yeah, slide it out from under the one on top. Now you're perfectly, it's perfectly okay for you to do something other than just what we did there. I mean, this image is pretty, I don't know, pretty flat looking. You could add a stroke around the edge of it or something like that. Let's see if I know how to do that. Stroke. Make it something little. Did it go? Doesn't look like it. Let's try that again. Did it stroke? It's right on that line. Color. Oh, okay, it's probably the blending mode. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, there we add a little stroke around the outside edge just to make it have, you know, something. You can do that with the other one too if you like. Select the layer, or you can turn your auto select back on. Hold the option key down and click right here to make a selection, and then go to edit, stroke. Make sure this is on normal, and OK that. And when you deselect, you'll have a nice little stroke around it. You can add a background color, something that you like. Put it at the bottom. Add your caption and all that. Rename your layers, and that's kind of how that works. And you can do other things too if you wanted to add a. I don't know if you wanted to add an adjustment and brighten it up. That'd be okay too. Whatever you want to do. Okay, so that's one of them. Let's see here. The Graph Expo kind of works the same way if you use the perspective crop tool on it. You can. We've done this one so many times. If you lay this over like this, again, hold the Shift key as you bring it around. I'm just trying to align those angles there. You can even do both sides if you like. Just hold let up and then hold the Shift key as you after you commence bringing it in. As you double click, now you'll notice it makes it fuzzier looking. I've noticed it does some funny things here. Yet, if you go to your image size, it actually converts it to a higher resolution and a bigger file to try to accommodate and make it look a little sharper. Okay, because I'm losing pixels. It also has the effect of stretching the image up, which isn't really very good. Okay, so there's some things there that you may want to take into consideration. You could use your Command T and use your free transform to scale this down and lose a little bit off the top like that. Okay, and commit. With the selection made, we haven't done this, but with the selection made, look, you can crop with a selection. And now I've cropped that back down. It looks a little better than it did. Let's see if I can undo here. I'll deselect. Command Z, 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 Z. Here's what we started off with. And that's funny, that perspective crop tool. I'll go back to the image size. You can see it originally started out as a low-res image, a smaller file. And when you try to correct with this, it like kind of knows that it's going to come out looking fuzzy if it doesn't do it. Well, and it still looks fuzzy, but it has pumped it up to a higher res and made it a bigger file. Okay, kind of funny how it does that. Okay, all right. So that's a couple of the perspective crop tools. Okay, I'm just going to close that one, and I'll close this one. Let's see, I changed the name on it, so I might as well save that. Okay. Oh yeah, this one too will work with it. It's not really ideal. You can try to straighten the tower, or you can try to straighten the barn. Either way, it looks kind of funny, but if I bring this over and kind of align that grid with the wooden planks in the barn, you can see it straighten them up, but it makes this look kind of stretchy. Now you could maybe try it from both sides like we did with the other one. Let's see what that does. Holding the shift key down so I don't go outside of the image. If you go outside of the image, it'll leave little white triangles. Click, drag, then hold the shift key down. Now I'm kind of putting the center of this through the top spire there. Yeah, you can see it looks a little stretchy and a little soft. It's just the way that tool works. I'll close that one. Okay. A couple of the other things here, the freeform pen tool and the color replacement tool. I have to admit I'm not very good with the pen. I just don't use the pen very much in Photoshop, and so I'll just I guess use the pen a little bit here. You can try to use the pen to select right around the edge here. Now there's a freeform pen that kind of does the same thing, and I think maybe I'll use it. All I have is a mouse right now, but I'll try to do this. I'm not even going to try to go right next to the edge. I'm going to go just outside of the flower. And if you don't get it all the way around, it's probably okay. I'm just going to try to leave a little bit of the green. It'll look so much better than trying to go all the way around. It'll look so much better than trying to put it right on that edge. If you can't make it all the way around, which I ran out of room, just as you roll your pen back up to it, look for that little slash there on the lower right. And that means it's okay to start and add to the path that you already started. And this will create a vector path, much like is in Illustrator, and maybe that's part of my problem. I'm used to the Illustrator pen tool, that I have a little bit of trouble here with the Photoshop pen tool. You can see I'm a little shaky here. Just going to move this over. Again, look for that little slash there, that little forward slash. That means it's ready to go, and you can go on around. If you're using a graphics tablet, you'll have no problem with this. I'm just going to try to do it quickly here, and again, with a graphics tablet, you can do probably a much better job. Okay, and there, I've run out of space again. Look for the little forward slash, come back on around. Oops, that wasn't very good, was it? Okay. Now, once you get all the way around, I'm telling you, see if I can undo that, because that's the one thing I wanted to mention here. As you come back around, and you come back around to the original anchor point, I'm sure shaky, and then look for that little forward slash to turn into a kind of like a square with a line through it. What that means is that you've closed the path. Okay, so now I've closed the path. Well, it's like, what can you do with that? Well, there is a selection tool in Photoshop that we haven't really looked much at. You can select this path, and you can edit the path. If you use, there's a white arrow for editing. For it, you have to kind of slide up to it like that, and now you can see I can select a single point, move it, and correct it, and make my selection a little bit better. Down here, I had a couple of errors that I didn't like much. There's even I'll zoom in. There's a pen minus tool that you can take anchor points out with if you feel like you don't really need one, like right there maybe. or right there, pen minus. Okay, you didn't want to take that one off. Okay, but you could take this one off. You can, with your white arrow, and it flipped automatically to the white arrow there. You can reposition these handles just like you do in Illustrator. There's a pen minus, back to a pen minus. You can also press the command key and it'll change between tools if you're using the pen. Press the command, it goes back to the white arrow. With the pen, you've also got that pen option, where if you roll over it, you can actually change this into a corner point. Nope. This one you can change into a corner point, or you can turn it back into a curve. Move those around. Fix it so it looks a little better. So you have all the same control. It just works a little bit differently. Now once you've, let's say that that's really perfect, if you go back over to your layers panel, and if you look, you may discover that right close by is something called the paths panel, and it'll show you this work path that you've got isolated here. Now you can turn that into a selection. You can turn that into a selection with this little button way down here that I've got. Okay, and depending on your interface, it may not be so far down on the at the bottom like that. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, it has turned it into a path. Well, now it's path. You can do anything you want to with it. You can create a new. You can create a new layer and flood it with color, or you could do an inverse. Do all the same stuff we do. Okay. Let's say you kind of get started and you realize, oh, you know, I really wish it was a path again. You can go back to your paths panel, and if you click on the button next to the one that you did before, you can turn it back into an anchor point path, which again you'll select with these tools down here rather than the move tool. And so you can select, you can use the direct selection tool for sub-selecting. I have noticed that you kind of have to do a little box around it to get it started, and then you can move individual anchor points pretty easy like that. Okay, that's the pen tools, and for it, just use it to make a selection or use it to do, let's see, you can also do this. You can turn it into a path, and you could add, let's say you could add a stroke to it. The stroke will go right around this path. I'll make it something we can see here. And you can have it so it's inside the selection, it's centered on the selection, or it's outside of the selection. I'll make it fatter so we can see that. So inside puts the red on the inside. Centered puts it on in the center. And put it on the outside, and it's on the outside. Now you can make that so that it lands on a separate layer, so it's easy to turn it off and on. You know, you can deselect. You can use that to reselect. Now it's a fill type of color rather than a stroke type of color. Okay, and same old stuff. You can turn down the opacity. You could blur it, I think. You could give it a radial blur or motion blur or just a regular old Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur is kind of a professional type blurring tool that you can soften it up with that. Okay, I mean, you could do that. Let me go back a couple of steps. If you go back to here, you could also feather. If you go to modify or refine, let's see, refine edge. Yeah, refine edge. I like this smooth. That's neat. And the feather's kind of cool. or you can soften it up, like we did with our vignettes early on in the semester. Okay, then if you select the opposite, you can, let's see, get rid of it here. You can delete the background. You can add new color in the background. If you leave it locked and press delete, make sure I'm on the right layer here. You can fill it with red. You can fill it with background color. You can fill it with content aware or history or pattern. Let's see what happens here. Wow, that's pretty weird. It's copied the middle part here. Okay, so full of surprises. All right, that's pen tool. Let's see. Color replacement tool, mixer brush. These are all crazy tools. Let's see. The mixer brush is right here. Mixer brush is a way for blurring stuff, I think. You can option click, and you can see up here it's ready to mix. It's ready to mix. See, a mixer brush is what we're doing. It's ready to mix with the image of the balloon. And so if I move this around, you can see it kind of grabs the edge of the balloon and does some things like that. Okay, I'm just going to undo that. I think that what it's for is for kind of like blurring backgrounds, and it sort of averages the color. I may be wrong about that. I saw a piece of the balloon come in there. Now there's some options there. You can load solid colors only, so that when you option and click, it only loads with, say, the red. But even there, you'll get a little bit of a blend of the image below. Okay. I use this occasionally to make things look like they have sort of a repeated image. Like you can do stuff like that. Okay, you may want to try that on a different picture. You know, do a save as, save it with a different name, bring in the original for comparison. Okay, so that's all that is. It'll work on anything you've got. Okay, that's a mixer brush. There's one called the color replacement tool. The color replacement tool will take whatever color you've got here in the front, and it will insinuate that color into the colors that you brush over. Now, again, this is not, I would say, considered a real professional tool, because we don't usually want to just draw right on the picture. But if you try to use it anywhere else, if you try to use it on a layer that doesn't have anything, like up here, it doesn't do anything. So it really is meant to change the color of the pixels. And you can try this on different images and see what you like. Okay, if there are some options up here to change some things and to slow it down or to make it happen a little faster or to sample from a different spot. Okay, that's the color replacement tool. And let's see if I've got, let me just undo this one. Color replacement tool on this one. You can cut your tolerance down so it'll add, so it'll only pick up a little bit. I cut it too far. And it's kind of tricky, especially on low-res images. But anyway, you saw what it was doing up here. Let's see, maybe some yellow. You can make it happen a little slower. Okay, by cutting the tolerance, and you can also change. You're going to change from contiguous to other settings here and see what you think of that. Okay, it's again one of those where you'll maybe on this one I do believe. Let's see. I do believe you could make duplicate layers. Let's see, I've got a couple layers here I don't need. I believe you could make duplicate layers and treat just the top one, so that then you can do the little split thing where you use the crop tool and extend out your. Let's just see if this will work. Okay, I am going to end up needing to add a new color or new background, but yeah, you can put those side to side. It's pretty easy. Okay, that's just a real quick. I want you to do something better, much better. Okay, all right, and let's see if that's it. Color replacement tool, mixture tool, pen tools, and perspective crop. I think that's it.